And I would, you've got the agenda in front of you. I would prepare to take a motion to accept the agenda as presented. Kathy moves it. Bill seconds it. All those in favor? Carried. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest? None noted. We've got the meeting, the minutes for April the 10th, as well as we've got the minutes for May the 10th. Is there anybody wishing to accept those minutes as they've been presented? Kathy moves them. Bill seconds. Is there any questions to those minutes? Not seeing any. All those in favor? Carried. We don't have any delegations, petitions, or invited guests, at least in the open session. We'll have our ministry liaison, Dwayne Sprague, in the closed session here. So business arising from the minutes. So on Thursday, we had a discussion with the Police Services Board as to the amended 2018 budget. So what you have in front of you is the amended 2018 budget as it's going to be, if it's approved tonight by the board, will be sent to the municipality treasurer for 2018. The chief has also provided 2019 and 20 preliminary budgets as reference based on direction from the board. So let's have like to have some conversation about those budgets, if any, from what chief, feel free. Go, Kathy, do you have a question?
Yeah.
Okay.
The budget is different again from the modified budget that we looked at on May the 10th.
Yes. What happened in my haste to try and get it ready before that meeting, just be pre-prepared. I wasn't directed to do anything for that. I didn't put in the stat holiday pay, so that's included in there. That's so that raises the salary issue, raises the salary slightly over that amount. So it's still a 14% reduction over what was submitted a few months ago for the modified budget. But it's only the salaries that were adjusted differently.
And then subsequently.
And subsequently the benefits, right?
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Joan?
I have a question about the 2019 projected budget. I noticed the figure for salaries is only about $11,000 more than what you had anticipated our increased budget to be for this year. Does that include full staffing at that point?
That's
for 2019.
The initial budget that I had submitted was based all on first class and all starting in June of this year.
Right.
Because the resumes were going to be submitted by May 20th. And we would hope to have any experienced officers that we had starting by June 1st. That was the plan.
Right.
Unfortunately, that plan is gone. So we're looking at recruit officers for hiring in September. So that would be 3 in September if we can get positions on the course, and 2 in January to meet the MOU that the board has signed with the association. And that would give us all the officers that we require for April of 30th of 2019 to cover off that. So it's officers at a lesser pay rate.
I get it. Yeah. I just noticed it wasn't substantially more, and I had forgotten about the recruit.
And that also includes 4 months of me, like
right.
like a double chief, basically.
Right.
my replacement plus me.
Right. And that will keep us in line with meeting our memorandum of agreement with
It
the
does, that
association.
puts it right on.
Good. Okay.
Chief, do you have anything else you wanted to add?
I don't think so. I just wanted to point out that the line items in the budget here, the honorarium, like I highlight them in yellow every year because I don't have any control over them. Those are amounts that are police service board expenses, meeting allowance, and the honorarium. And those are not supposed to be part of the police budget, but Donna White wants to keep them in there just so that she knows that amount is the cost of policing. They would be there whether it's Swingham Police or if it's OPP. You still have to have a police services board. So those costs don't reflect any change.
You're comfortable with this budget, Tim?
I think so.
Chief, is the new cruiser in 19, is that to replace the Charger?
Yes.
So we would still have 3 vehicles.
That's correct.
The one thing that I haven't noticed, and I'm not sure, is where does, like, I know we have uniforms and that type of stuff for the additional officers. What about technology for the new officers? I'm assuming they're going to need a computer and all that jazz. Is that in there too?
All that will be shared resources in the building.
Share resource. So no more complement of computers that are at the current
No.
existence. It's just they would share them as they do today.
That's correct.
Okay. Any other questions with regards to the budget? The budget as it's been presented here, Chief, or at least it has been discussed in high level with the association. I see Mark is here tonight. The association has been talked about with regards to
I
the
did
salaries.
discuss it with the vice president. I haven't had really a chance to speak with Mark because our shifts haven't been coordinating, and he was off in Godrich Court all day today. So, but I'm sure so long as we get the memorandum of understanding dealt with, I'm sure they'll be happy.
Okay, so not hearing anything more as it relates to the budget. I do want to mention that we will be, as part of this going back, I will mention to the council that really nothing has changed from a standpoint of the overall costs going forward. Really what we've done is just shifted money from 18 to 19 and lowered what we were going to hire as first class recruits. So really that has changed, but at the end of the day, at some point, those are going to be first class constables and all that. So all that is wages that will anticipate to be what the current complement is. So it is just going to be pushing money from one year to the next. So council needs to be aware of that. And I will make sure, based on our discussions on Thursday about what the shift structure is and what it looks like, because I do want to say that I did misunderstand the chief's direction about the second sergeant. I anticipate it was a hire, but it's not a hire. It's a internal promotion potentially, and then therefore you're actually hiring 5 recruits, not 4 plus 1 sergeant. So it's that I think needs to be clarified to the town council so they understand that from an operational perspective. But all that is more information that council would normally get from a police services. So based on the pressure that the council's under, I think it's only fair that we provide them as much information as we can have, so that they can make an educated decision on what they want. Whether they take the information or not, that's not for us to decide. That's for them to decide. So I will look for the board to provide direction on this. There is a suggested motion here that the North Huron Police Services Board hereby approves the modified Police Services 2018 budget as presented, and further that the chief is directed to provide the modified 2018 budget to the treasurer and North Huron for inclusion in the 2018 budget. Do I have a mover? Bill moves that. Yolanda seconds it. Any other discussion or questions with regards to the modified budget that has been presented here?
I have a question.
Yep.
This is the last modification we are making, correct?
You tell me.
As far as I'm concerned, it is.
That's not guaranteed. If council sends it back to us and asks us to modify it, we might have to modify it again. But as far as I'm concerned, I think it's a good budget. It comes within, it is a bit of an increase. I think last year's was 1.2 something million anyway. So it does come with an increase, but I think it's fine, fair, but it'll all end up becoming what council decides.
So just to clarify, because I think it's important that we clarify for the council, is this question that I think Joan is asking is, if council says that this isn't good enough, are we going to look at it again, or are we saying it's going to arbitration? Because that's ultimately the decision. Because if we can't decide collectively to agree to a budget, that's where it goes. It goes to the OCPC for review, and they determine whether who's right and who's wrong, and it's binding. Nobody has a choice. What we have said to the council, and I shouldn't say we, what I have told the council is they have been given a number much more detailed than anybody had ever, that any other police services board would be entitled to. So you need to determine, which they weren't willing to do at last council meeting. They weren't willing to provide a number that was going to be the number that they would go to. So I guess the question that Joan is asking, and more unfairly, is, are we telling the town council that this is the 2018 final budget? If you do not accept it, it's going to arbitration. I think that's where Joan's going with this. I'm not going to speak for her, but that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I do agree with Joan. Actually, I think me and Joan are basically on the same page. I think it would be difficult for us to find any more a reduction or cost savings anywhere in this budget. I've stated in the past, I've stated again. I think we run this police service pretty lean, and I'm very, very, I don't think there's any cost savings about that. So don't know how the other board members feel though.
I'm not hearing any more discussion. There is a motion to accept the budget. We'll come back to the question at hand with Joan after, but if, so there's a mover for the motion. There's a seconder for the motion. We are going to accept, this is the modified budget that we're going to send to the municipality. All those in favor of that motion? Okay. So I will ask for direction from the board. Am I communicating to the council that this is the final budget that you're going to get? This is the number that we believe is the number that has to happen to successfully resource the police from an operational perspective, from an agreement perspective with the association. This is what we've agreed to. And based on prior history, it being nothing, we are fully confident that this is what the resources are required to successfully operate this police service. From a health and safety perspective, from it all. So if that is the direction, I will take that direction to the council as your chair. But I'm waiting for somebody to tell me that's not the direction.
I can tell you as the chief that there's no possible way I can realize any more savings in this budget and still be able to operate.
I think council needs a clear message from this board that we have done our due diligence and this is bottom line.
Okay, so based on the comments from the chief and the vice chair, and I'm not hearing any other,
I'll agree with the vice chair. 100%.
that is what the direction I will tell the council on Monday. Or Tuesday night. Okay, so perfect. So we will move on with regards to the rest of the agenda. So move on to number 7, the police chief's report. Chief?
A very short report for you this month. Just identify the calls for service that we had, 118 during the month of April. In 2017, we had 116, so pretty much on par. One of the calls for service we had in this April were assisting the OPP out in their area. And I attached the crime statistic summary for April as well. The OHCP zone meeting will be held in Owen Sound on the 5th of June. I intend to attend that, and any of the board members that wish to go to attend the board meeting at the same time are welcome to drive with me. I believe it starts at 9 and it's about an hour and a half drive, so probably a 7:30 departure for those that are interested in attending. And the annual general meeting of the OACP is going to be held in Huntsville from the 10th to the 13th of June, and I will be attending that. We have officers that have been attending the standard field sobriety test training. We hope to have everyone done by the end of this year. And I don't know if the media release got out there or not, but I know I did send it to the board. So you would know that we used it twice this weekend once to assist the OPP on the stop that they made, and they didn't have any sobriety testers in the area, and one that originated in Wingham. Both were charged with impaired by drug. So it's a good training, and I hope to have everyone done by the end of the year. And the Ontario Police College is paying for that training. I mentioned during the briefing, budget briefing, about the goals of the MOU and how I've changed it around a little bit. So that recruiting portion is already spoken to. And our firearms, I did mention in the past several times our firearms were falling apart, breaking during trigger testing. We did order the new firearms. They have arrived, and once your ammunition arrives, we'll have transition training. And if any new officers that we hire will be trained on the new firearm at OPC, but our officers will have to have transition training. We're ready to go with that.
Any questions for the chief? Chief, the transition training for firearms, is that because it's a different brand, different make, or just because it's a different firearm altogether?
Different altogether. It's a semi-automatic pistol, but there's different, like the safeties are in different spots. The trigger, the way you take it apart is different. It's different.
The one thing I think I'd like to at least comment here, at least have your comments too, Chief, about, we have had some comments from the public about why officers are in areas that they would not necessarily be thought to be in. I use the example of Bloatvale and those types of things. This past weekend was an example of that, where a William officer had a car pulled over in Bluevale.
That was the drug from
Correct.
Max Milk and Wingham.
Correct. So I guess my question is that, from your perspective, if you could kind of just elaborate about why or when a police officer from the North Huron Police Service would go in those areas, because I think it's a false understanding of why we're out there. And the conversation is, are we even able to go out there? I think the public needs to understand what the purpose is. Obviously, it's a traffic issue or drugs or whatever the case may be. But I think from your perspective, if you could elaborate about why that is, that would be kind of, for the people who are listening and the people who are out there, they would help.
For sure. To start off with, often we call the OPP for assistance, and they come here without question to help us. When the OPP call us for assistance, we attend there without question. For example, the weekend where the officer didn't have a field sobriety testing person available, and she was also working by herself dealing with an individual that was impaired, she required backup. The closest backup was us. We're going to back up another police service, and they will back us up. The horse and buggy collision south of Teeswater, that was South Bruce OPP, they had no one in the area. We attended, the call to us was that there was a person trapped in a vehicle, and there was possibly deceased on scene. Turned out that there was no one deceased, that there was 5 people sent to hospital, 1 by air ambulance. So it's a very serious collision. It's a life and death situation. We're going to respond to that, because you want to be there to help. And again, if they're helping us, then we're going to help them. We don't patrol outside of Wingham looking for work. We have enough work here to do what has to be, like, to do policing. We don't go looking for it. And the OPP don't come into Wingham looking for it either. They have enough out in their area. So it's just a reciprocal. We help each other out when we can and when it's necessary. And again, like, that was life and death on Saturday by Teeswater. And the other one was backing up a single officer on a road in the middle of nowhere with a person that's intoxicated by a drug. The person needed help, and we'll help them.
Thank you, Chief.
You mentioned that, can we even go there? Wingham Police are police officers in the province of Ontario, everywhere. Whether it's Wingham or South Bruce or Toronto, they're still police officers. They still carry that credential.
Thank you, Chief. Sometimes I think it's just, the ratepayers have to understand that it's reciprocal, and that is one of the reasons why we do it. And obviously, the fact is you're not going to leave an officer. We would not expect the OPP to leave one of our officers unattended, as well as they would anticipate not us leaving them unattended when they need it. I think also, from my perspective, it's also the understanding of when there's a need, and the closest people, that's the service seat that I think anybody's going to pay for in North Huron or East Launch or Blythe. What they want, the closest available officer, if they need it, from an emergency perspective, they want them there. I don't think it matters, at least it shouldn't, what badge they're wearing. As long as they're there to protect them, I think that's the intention that we always have had from the North Huron Police Service or William Police Service, but also from the board. I think we've always anticipated that to be the case. And I think that direction's got to be fair.
I also want to add, whenever something like that does come up, for example, one of our officers had to escort a mental health patient to Godrich last week. I received a phone call at home in the middle of the night and say, this is what we have to do. I take the calls from then when that happens. So there is someone available to respond in Wingham if something does happen here. Wingham is not left alone. We ensure it's covered.
Okay. Are there any other questions for the chief on his report? Thank you very much, Chief, for it was just a comment that I think I've got that comment more than once from the public about what that is, and I think it's important that we specify what the service is and what it's all about. So thank you for that. So I will take a motion to have the Police Services Board approve the police relief report for May as presented. Joan moves it, Yolanda seconds it. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, move on to Treasury. 8.1, the bills and accounts. Is there any questions with regards to the bills and accounts? Not hearing any. So suggested motion here is to authorize and approve payments of the bills and accounts in the total amount of $12,910.61 for the period ending May the 10th, 2018. Do I have a mover for that? Joan moves it. Yolanda seconds it. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, we have correspondence. Is there anything in correspondence that somebody would like to pull out to discuss? Joan?
I got a letter in April, which I think is appended, well, I know it is, saying that my appointment as provincial appointee was extended till the end of the year until a decision was made. I got a second letter from the minister a couple of days ago saying I am reappointed, but there was no dates on it. So I have emailed my contact at the ministry to find out what
your term is?
What the term is.
What the term is.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is you got a letter that said you were extended to the end of the year.
Yes,
And then
because
after that, you got another letter saying you were extended.
no, saying as reappointed.
But you don't
Yes.
know what the term was.
I assume it's 2 years from June 22nd, but I'm not going to make the assumption I've asked.
Because your term technically ends June 22nd, right?
Yes.
So, okay, we'll keep
So you're
looking
stuck
for
with
that.
me for another bit.
I don't think we're stuck with anything. I think we'll take as many provincial appointees as that we can get. Is there anything else in correspondence?
I will go to the Zone 5 meeting with you, Tim.
Okay. Is there any new business? Sorry, I apologize. We have to need a motion to direct the correspondence to be ordered, read, and filed. Yolanda moves that. Bill seconds it. All those in favor? Carried. there any new business? Any board members' inquiries or reports? Kathy?
I was just wondering when the time suits, if we could see a 2017 budget to actual. I'm not sure where the municipality is right now, but it would be nice to see where we finished off last year.
I do know that Donna told me we came in $27,000 under budget, and she was transferring that to reserves. But I don't know what, where we realized that savings.
So we can ask, I can request that from Donna for that to be coming up to the next Police Services Board meeting, and I will ask the question based on where does that go into the reserves of the Police Services Board. I'm assuming it would just go in there, therefore it would go into the coffers for probably capital, where most of our reserves go to are legal.
I believe that she was putting it into reserves for the disbandment of Wing Police Service, because that's
Okay.
where we were thinking at the time, so I don't know.
We'll ask that question at the time to ask whereabouts that is, because ultimately it is the Police Services Board that is responsible to direct that money to go where it needs to go. Okay. Okay, we have public gallery questions or comments. Okay,
I think I'd like to make one, Trevor, you don't mind.
Okay, yep.
Mark Kirkby, president of the Wingham Police Association. I've had a call to home about in regards to the budget and the amount of money. And I just wanted to comment, because I think it's getting a little cloudy out there, that all we asked for when we negotiated was 2 officers. And that was agreed to. And then from there, it went to the police board, and from the police board to council, which was voted upon. Our association wasn't asked to vote. We didn't vote at the council meeting. We didn't vote at the budget or for any of the budgets. So it's just a little disconcerting when people are coming to us and saying, how come this is all happening? As if we had any power to vote this through, to have any kind of control over that past the 2 officers being on for safety reasons. So I just wanted to bring that up, and I wish you'd pass that on to council. That this is something that they voted for, and I know you've made that quite clear number of times. I've seen you. That's where the responsibility lies. It doesn't lie in this room. It doesn't lie with the police association. Okay, it was voted in this room by the council. Okay, if you could pass that along, that would be terrific.
Yes, Mark, Constable Kirkby, yes, I have, we have made that clear to them more than once, but I will make it clear again, and especially with the fact that officers tend to be getting these calls now, and not the Police Services Board members or council. Council's not even, they're getting some questions, the only question they're getting asked is, why is my taxes going up? And that's the only question why they're getting asked. And then they proceed to say, well, it's a police services issue. And I'm saying, no, it's not a police services issue. It's a police services budget. Yeah. And it's a police services budget that we dictated based on resource and availability and need from a health and safety perspective and everything. All of which was communicated to you before you made the vote. You as council made that determination. You decided what level of service you wanted, and you believed that the municipality and the people in the Wingham Ward specifically would pay for it. Now, in my mind, you're getting sticker shock, and it's a question about who's responsible for it. And that's why I made it perfectly clear at council as a police services chair, and I said, I sit on it as both things. I sit as a councillor and I sit as police services board chair. I say it at both people. Do not blame the association. Do not blame us for doing our due diligence and our job about how the service is supposed to be run. We are required by law to provide the resources available to the police service that it is, one, safe to operate, and two, that we're providing the resources that they need in order to have a successful operation. We're not doing anything we shouldn't have been doing, in my mind, many years ago. We chose not to. And now it's not it wasn't a case of whether we need to or want to. It was a possibility that there is no dictation. It was something that needed to be done in order to ensure that our health and safety of our officers were at the utmost, and that it was fair and equitable for both of our officers and the municipality to understand where the costs lie. And so I will pass that on again. And I thank you for letting us know that you specifically are getting comments. And if your officers are getting, I do say, if your officers are getting requests or comments about what's going on, please feel free to pass along my contact information. I can send it to you, phone, email, all that. Please pass them on to me. I will be more than happy to talk to them. Okay?
Yep, no, that's been passed on. That is, you can go on the website. All the counselors' contact information is there, and direct it that way. Because as the question was, like to the police association, why is this happening? Why are you guys doing this? And it's like, we're not. We have a safety issue, and it was addressed by the police board. And said, but now, and it's got tied up with the costing, and the counselors voted to keep us. And because of that, now it's come back to you. And but like I said, I'm getting calls and having to explain basically the decisions made by council, and the police association has no control over that.
Police association should not be trying to defend what they've got through, one, negotiations, or two, fact is of a decision that they had no decision within it. So I believe that you're fair in saying pass them along to councillors or myself as the chair, and I will support you and the association to make sure that they get the information that they so desire.
The police association should not be defending their safety and the requirements. It's here. Like you've explained it very well. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you, Constable Kirkby. I will pass that along to the council, and hopefully after Tuesday, you won't receive those calls anymore, I hope. I won't promise it though. Okay, so we do have an in-camera session. So I will take a motion to go in camera. Bill moves it, Yolanda seconds. All those in favor? Carried.